Welcome, everyone. It is great to see you all today on this Wednesday. It is 6 p.m. It's 100 degrees outside where I am. We're in the middle of a heat wave, but we are still here. Okay. Now, today we're going to be talking about October 1st, 2024, the date the FAFSA was supposed to open and what happened. Okay. So it was just yesterday, right? I was on pins and needles, right? Waiting yesterday for it to open, and I'll share what I was able to find. Okay, but let's go ahead and kind of get straight into this, see if this works. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. All right, so a little bit of kind of the agenda. We're going to kind of do a welcome for our families, right? We're going to talk about October 1st, the soft launch, what happened, what can we glean from this, right? And then also you can learn about how we can help. Okay. So first off, just really quickly for all of our new families out there that are joining our coaching program, all of the new families that are joining our Facebook group, we just want to explain a little bit about who we are. We're here every single week at 6 p.m. We're going to make sure to bring any issues about kind of financial aid to the forefront, right? All we ask is that you engage with us, right? Send us a quick message on Facebook, send us an email, reach out in the Discord. Whatever it is, just make sure that you're kind of asking the questions that you have. The worst thing that you can do with financial aid is not have all the information, okay? We have been doing this for the last 15 years. After this year, this season is over, we will be on our 16th year, okay? We're here to make sure that families can afford college, and we want to make sure that families can save the money they deserve, okay? Now, on this day in history, October 1st, 2024, right? FAFSA, it was a mess last year, right? They told us that there's going to be some problems this year, right? And we were waiting for that soft launch. Okay. Now, let me talk about what was supposed to happen, right? There was supposed to be a soft launch of the FAFSA on October 1st, 2024. Families were going to be able to take a look at what new changes, right? The FAFSA made on the form, right? Now, this is why my kind of presentation is a little bit short today. So what actually happened? Nothing. Nothing happened, right? FAFSA gave some weird explanation and said that they sent out an invitation to a select group of people to test out the beta or soft launch. Okay. So it was by invitation only, right? This isn't some kind of red carpet event. I shouldn't need an invitation to take a look at it, right? Now, even though I have, a lot of our students in our program are waiting for that next year to come out, none of them was given an invitation. Okay. So if you were given an invitation, I'd love to hear about it because I didn't get one. Okay. So, okay, what does that mean? Okay. What does that mean for the future? Right. Now, last week I told you I didn't trust the October 1st opening. And in true fashion, it did not open. Okay. I don't think a meaningful number of people actually got the soft launch invitation, right? I think that's just a way for them to kind of like say like, oh, it was only a select group. That's why you weren't given it. Literally, I'm guessing that like close to no one was given it, right? So this also means that I am very, very strong in my belief that December 1st is not going to happen as well, right? Most likely, I think that it will open like it did last year in late December or early January, right? They have literally had 2 years to fix this problem. I am not sure what they're still working on. Parents, if you work in kind of like tech, please contact them to see if you can help them fix it because at this point, they need all the help that they can get. Okay. Now, my trust has been broken, right? I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never seen it have a problem like this, right? I didn't really have a lot of trust in the system, right? But now the little hope that I had is completely gone, right? This year, right? And in years in the future, right? Families, you are going to have to kind of do everything that you can. You're going to have to fight, claw, scratch, do whatever you need to do to get the money that you need, right? So today we were supposed to go over what's on the FAFSA for the 25-26 school year, right? Instead, I'm not able to do that because I wasn't given one of those exclusive invites to the FAFSA party, right? But instead, what I'm going to do is actually talk about, what are some of the like kind of rumors and misinformation that I hear every single year from families that I talk to in our consultations. Okay. But before we go any further, I did want to make sure to give a quick word from our sponsor. Okay. Now, the reason why I keep doing this every single week is because I know that there are students out there that are not even close to done when they should be. Okay. We are literally 28 days away from the early action, early decision deadline. If your student needs help, they don't need help tomorrow or next week or next month. They need it right now. So if your senior needs help on their PIQs, on their personal statement, on their supplementals, right? This is going to be perfect for you. If you are interested in our college essay service, that is a kind of like asynchronous way to get essay feedback and review, right? We will make sure that they are on track and that they do get to that finish line. All you have to do is text essay to 415-938-8721. Okay. I'm going to give people a quick second to take a screenshot if you need it. Okay. So you can go ahead and have that phone number there. Okay. Now let's get back to the training. So before we get into like the rumors and misinformation, I do want to make sure that families understand what the kind of new FAFSA kind of delays does to the original timeline of a kind of financial aid season. Okay. So for this year, if your student is a class of 2025, right, or a class of 26, 27, whatever it is, this is going to be pertinent to when they are basically a June, like starting in like the April of their junior year, moving into like the following year. Okay, so for the class of 2025, I'll kind of talk about that because it's the most urgent, right? The class of 2025, in April, you file your taxes. In August, senior year starts. By November, normally by November, right, we will turn in your kind of like, FAFSA and CSS for any kind of like early action or early decision schools, right? But because this year we do not know, right, when the FAFSA is going to open for sure, right? That kind of the deadline for kind of the FAFSA is going to be most likely sometime in February, right? But normally by December, you have turned in the financial aid and the college applications for every single school you're applying to, okay? And then you get your results by April. But with FAFSA being like basically having the deadline in February, and even that is not set because, well, we don't know how far things are going to be delayed out, right? That might mean that by April, when you're supposed to be making your decision about where you're going to school, you still might not have a financial aid award back yet. Okay, so just keep this in mind, right? The timeline is a little bit shifted because of the delays in the FAFSA. Okay, now I do want to talk about the rumors and misinformation that I hear every single year. I basically hear it almost every single day because I have consultations throughout the week. Okay, now the first one is my family makes too much money. Okay, that's a great problem to have, right? So I always make this joke, but if everyone is driving around in a supercar, right? And you have a personal chef and you have 17 people on your staff to take care of your lawn, probably yes, that is the case, right? But one of the things that I say is, right, you can't have too much happiness or money, right? In fact, there are a lot of our families that don't realize that they can get money, right, because they think their income is too high, and then they lose out on it for the first year or the second year, only to come to meet us in third year and then get money starting in their third year, right? And then when they see how much money we save them, they're like, oh my gosh, I could have remodeled my bathroom. We could have gotten rid of our junker car and kind of upgraded. But because of that, now we can't do that. Okay. But better late than never. Okay. So just keep in mind, right? Your income is just one factor in the process. There's other factors other than that that can make you qualify. Okay. The second is that the FAFSA is only for federal student loans. That is not the case. The FAFSA is a form that needs to be filled out in order to get all types of money, right? Again, I don't really like using the words that the schools use. They use a lot of different words like grants and aid and like, gift aid and, departmental kind of like scholarship. They use all these words. I just call it free money, right? But if you want to be eligible for any of that free money, you do need to fill out the FAFSA. The FAFSA is not just for loans. For most families, though, when you do fill out the FAFSA, they will provide you loans, right? But That's not the only thing that they are good for, right? Through the FAFSA, you can get state aid, you can get federal aid, you can get, money that is coming from the school, but that is a very important form that needs to be turned in. Even if you think, again, going back to kind of the first one, oh, our family makes too much money, you should still fill this out because there might be some aid that is contingent on you filling it out. Okay. Another one is about the deadlines, right? A lot of people kind of look on the federal website, and on the federal website, it literally does tell you that the FAFSA is due June 1st. Okay. That is a little bit of a kind of misinformation because, yes, the federal deadline for the FAFSA is June 1st. If a school is following the federal deadline, it will be June 1st. But 90% of colleges do not follow the federal deadline. They have their own deadline. And so if you follow this, you are most likely going to be late. Okay. The best way to think about this, and I know it's a little bit different because this year, again, we're delayed, right? But in other years, the safest way to think about when your financial aid application is due is that you're turning it in at the same time you're turning in your college application. That is the safest way to think about it. Okay. Here's another one I hear all the time, right? I tell families, right? They come in, they're like, you know what? We already did the net price calculator on a certain school and we did this and we did that. But, right? And it said we're going to get this much money, or it said we're going to get this much money. And I'm like, that's actually not the case. So let me kind of like realign what you're supposed to actually get, right? Now, this is how I think about net price calculators. It's literally this calculator with Cookie Monster. Okay. You cannot trust these calculators. I've met a lot of families and they come to me and it's like, yeah, I've run the net price calculator. We're good with what we're going to get from this school. And I'm like, you're not going to get that. Right. And they're like, yeah, but the net price calculator told us we are. And I'm like, that's not true. Right. So these net price calculators, they lull you into this false sense of security. Like, okay, yeah, they said they're going to give us $37,000. So we can afford this school. We're going to be okay. Right. Instead, you need to talk to someone that has dealt with those schools before and has dealt with people in your income range. Right. The reason why these net price calculators are a little bit of a joke is this, right? They tell you, like some of them are more specific and tell you how much that you're going to get in loans, how much you're going to get in free money, how much you're going to get in this and that, right? But even those are overestimated, right? Because they don't take into account every single factor the colleges look at, right? So when the college says that your out-of-pocket cost is going to be $55,000 to go to a certain school, you have to think that that is not true, right? Because there are some schools that do give you a detailed breakdown of what they're going to give you, but there's other schools that do not. And when they do not, they're most likely including a big fat chunk of loans into that equation and saying that you're out of pocket cost. Now, I always think that is so funny that they call it out of pocket cost, but how about like out of pocket in 4 years, right? That's what loans are. So if they, let's say a UC at $45,000, they decide like you run the net price calculator and it says that your cost of attendance is going to be $25,000 a year. They're going to give you $20,000 in financial aid, but they don't tell you if it's going to be loans or free money. If it is a loan, that's still coming out of your pocket 4 years down the line, right? But they don't really talk about that as you're going through it. Okay. So net price calculators, please do not trust them. Okay. Now, like I said, today's presentation is going to be a little bit short. So maybe we can have a longer Q&A session, right? And the reason that it is short, because I saw a bunch of people come in late today, right? And again, we do start at 6 o'clock, right? But for those families that came in late, the reason why my presentation is short today is because I was going to go over the soft launch of the FAFSA 2025-26 school year, right? But the soft launch didn't happen. It was an invite only, right? Invite only, right? To probably like 10 people, right? Invitation to test out the new beta version of their website. I'm not sure what they're trying to beta every single time, right? But that's what happened. So as soon as I have access, I will show you guys what's there, right? So just keep that in mind there. Predictions, okay? These are predictions I made, I think, a couple weeks ago, right? But my first prediction was the FAFSA will not be ready by October 1st, right? This has been verified, okay? So everything I said last year too was verified. So I'm going to keep a track record of all my predictions and what's going to happen, right? So my next prediction is that the real launch will not happen on December 1st. Let's kind of see if that ends up being true. Okay. The third one was financial aid offices are going to be overwhelmed, less time to process, and more delays in student notification of their financial aid awards. I think this is going to happen as well, right? There will be some students that do not have their admissions decisions in April when they receive their acceptances. I think all of these are going to stay true because again, I went through last year. These were similar predictions that I had for that year, and they were all true. This year, I think it's going to be true again. Final, right? This is going to be a year that tests the patience of our families and of the colleges, right? Literally, I feel like the colleges need to band together and say, you know what? We're no longer using the FAFSA because it's so broken, right? I feel like that's what they need to say in order for something to actually happen, right? Because if you actually think about it, that's a bunch of money that is, I mean, not that they're really making money off the website because it's free, but they're probably making money off it somehow. Okay. All right. So, like I say every single week, you need to prepare, right? Make sure you understand college expenses, right? And hopefully next week, the 2025-26 FAFSA is like a little bit more like they've sent out more than 10 invitations, right? And that more people are able to see it. But if I have access, I'll make sure to kind of do line by line screenshots of all the different pages so that you guys can take a look, right? You need to make sure that you understand college expenses, save in the right way. You need to maximize your financial aid. Most of all, you need to talk to us. I'm not saying you have to sign up with us, but talk to us and figure out if it makes sense for your family to go at this alone or not. Because most families I have talked to, they're not in a position that they can do this alone and be successful. Okay, so sign up for a consultation. I will put the link in the chat. Okay, let me just grab that link real quick. All right. So the link is there. Okay. Now, I do want to make sure that we go over some success stories because a lot of people don't believe us, right? They only believe us after they get the result. And then we're like, yeah, see, we told you. And then they're like, yeah, but I didn't really believe it. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay, that's really nice that you had that vote of confidence in us to go with us, even though you didn't believe us, right? But most families find that they are very happy with their results, right? Like this family, right? This family, like they got their whole UC education covered. They're literally paying about $800 a year to go to UC Davis. Okay. For this family, right? They got just over $50,000 a year. They're paying less than they would have paid to go to UC Irvine. I believe the other option was UC Irvine, right? But now they're going to Carnegie Mellon and they're paying about $35,000 a year. Okay. So, really quickly, right? Again, if you are interested in our college essay service, go ahead and text essay to 415-938-8721. If you are interested in kind of booking a consultation with us to talk about your family situation, you can scan this QR code, right? You can also click on the link in the chat, right? But at this point, I do want to open it up for Q&A. I do see a bunch of people here today, so thank you guys for showing up. Unfortunately, the presentation was a little bit short because there's not much to share for this week because the FAFSA wasn't available to me. Okay. So if you guys do have questions, let's go ahead and get into them in the Q&A, get to them in the chat so that I can answer your questions about our program, about financial aid in general, about your student situation. Just make sure to take out any identifying information so I don't accidentally read it out while I'm reading your question. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead with the Q&A. I do have a question here, right? And it says, let me decipher it. The question is there really no limit to the income that you can make to be qualified for financial aid? No, I never said that, right? But I said that most families that think that they make too much money actually do not, right? So if you make in like, if you're in kind of the 100, 200, 300, 400, I've helped families all day, every year, right, get money for school. If you're in the five, six, $700,000 range, I've helped families too, but it really depends on your school list, right? So that's something that we do need to talk about during a consultation, right? If you're kind of in that eight, 900,000 $1 million range, unfortunately, yes, your income is too high. I can't help you, right? But you should still talk to me because there might be opportunities, okay? And a lot of those opportunities sometimes come because parents are getting ready to retire. Other parents are kind of, deciding to step away from their business. Whatever it is, right? You just let me know. We can talk about it. I never feel bad because, like, I at the end of the day, I'm always helping families in one way or another, whether it's by providing the service or by providing the advice. Okay. It says, how did you save 50,000 for the high one with the high assets? Do families have to compromise on the school list? No, they actually don't, right? So the question here is basically like, how was I able to save them money, right? So Carnegie Mellon is not a compromise for any student, right? So it's obviously a really great school. And the student was a computer science student, so even more of a competitive major, right? As far as how I saved it for them, well, that's kind of my secret sauce, right? So during the consultation, I can kind of enlighten you a little bit more, right? But it all depends on your family situation and kind of like how your taxes are filed. There's a lot of different factors that go into it, right? One of the pieces that I always talk about is this. You and your neighbor, right? You guys might live in a community where like everyone has the same house because like the same builders built everything, right? And so like everyone has the same house. But just because your house has the same square feet, it has the same, number of rooms, doesn't mean that the amenities are exactly the same, right? And the reason I bring this up is because that's what income looks like. Just because you live in the same community in the same neighborhood doesn't mean that your economic situation is the same as your neighbors, right? So just because your neighbor said that, oh, we didn't get anything, doesn't mean that you're not going to get anything. So you need to talk to an expert to figure that out. Okay. Now we have another question here. It says, how do we find out about scholarships that are out there? So that's kind of like a different realm. Okay. So scholarships, I'm not looking, I think you're talking about outside scholarship like Coca-Cola or Facebook or Instagram, but those aren't the scholarships that I'm going for. The money that I'm trying to pull out of these kind of like schools is institutional aid. So I'm looking for from the federal government, the state government, and the college themselves, right? Very rarely, and again, if you're part of our coaching program, do we help you with those outside scholarships like the Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Google scholarships? Yeah, we'll definitely help you with the essays if you need help on those things, right? As far as like a database of them, a lot of my students have been going to like bold.org, I believe. That's like the biggest repository right now. There's other places called like FastWeb, right? And so there's a lot of different things that are kind of, that you can kind of do. Um, and then we should be able to kind of, you should be able to find them on those different websites. So like FastWeb, bold.org, right? But the one thing I will say is this, do not ever pay for a scholarship list, okay? They're literally just charging you $4.99 so that they can steal your credit card information and sell your information to third parties, okay? So never do that, okay? We have another question. I pay for your services. My son to start next year, the third year at UCI. However, my daughter will go to community college next school year. My question is, how does the FAFSA application work for my daughter since you're going to fill it out for my son? What am I supposed to do? This is a little bit more of a complicated question. It's one of our students that's already kind of like part of our program. I would say like, so reach out to me via email, or if you're in our coaching program, reach out to me in the coaching pro or in the Discord, so I can send you the link so we can talk. We can set up a meeting to talk to each other about this because it's a little bit complicated. I don't know if it's the right time to answer it here. Okay, so this parent has two different students. Just need to figure out what we need to do for student one and student two. So reach out to me via email or something else, Facebook, Discord, whatever it is, and I'll make sure to kind of send you that link so that we can set up a time to talk. All right, we have another question. It says, if applying early decision to a school that uses a CSS profile and you get your financial aid award letter, how do you negotiate that? I need to wait until FAFSA launches. Does the university amend the initial financial aid award? So again, every school is going to be different again this year. Some schools last year with the delay, what they said was, we are going to stand by our financial aid award that we give you via the CSS profile, right? Other schools said it'll be conditional until we get your FAFSA and are able to verify everything. So it'll depend on the school that you're going to and the policy that they institute this year. But generally speaking, most schools last year, they give you a conditional offer and then they give you a finalized offer afterwards. Okay. So real quickly, so when we spoke to you at the College Open Intensive this summer, You mentioned that there would be not much help to expect from this program if you're applying to just UCs. Are you saying that it is not the case now? Our focus is really UC, so it's still possible to expect financial aid from those institutions. So I think it really depends on your situation. I don't remember the exact conversation that we had. Uh, but if I told you that if you were applying to just UCs, I wouldn't be able to help, then it's worth another conversation. But again, if that's the advice I gave, I'm probably going to stick to it again if we talk about it again. So I understand that a lot of families are really interested in the UCs, but just applying to the UCs is a very dangerous strategy, right? Because, well, what if you don't get in there, right? You need to have other options, right? And especially if you're applying to, if I told you that UCs aren't possible, but privates might be possible, well, then what if the price of a private ends up being closer to the price of a full price UC, right? Then you have a really very difficult choice to make. Like, does it make sense for us to go to community college versus go to this 4-year private school that is on par with the other schools that we apply to? Okay, so it's something to think about, but if you are interested, you can definitely sign up for a consultation so we can talk it over again. Okay. We have another question here, and it says, we recently purchased life insurance with cash value. I was told that we can put aside money in the IUL so that we don't have to report cash as part of FAFSA. Is that something that you would advise? We have been saving this money for a much needed home remodel project, and I don't really want FAFSA to consider this money can be used for tuition. So life insurance doesn't really hide your money per se, right? Because at the end of the day, it is still a kind of like asset, right? But it all depends on what you're kind of like where you're applying. Are you applying to schools that are just looking at the FAFSA? Are you applying to schools that are FAFSA, CSS, and IDOC? It really just depends on that, right? Now, if you bought a life insurance policy, right, and let's say that you're just kind of again, I'm not sure about the terms of your life insurance policy or kind of like exactly what you bought, right? But the like, so if it's cash value, then it's just about like the premiums that you're putting in. So I don't think there's really much that is going to be different, like between you holding it in cash or doing the life insurance policy. It's going to be the same thing. Okay. We have a person that says, please send me the link. I'm not sure. It's in the chat here, right? So I can put it in there one more time. You can also scan this code on the screen so that you can get the link there as well. So I'll put the link in just one more time here so that you guys have it. Okay. So again, if you guys are interested in talking to me, go ahead, scan this QR code. It'll take you to a Calendly link. You can set up a meeting with me. You could also click the link in the chat there. Okay. Again, if we've talked already, my advice is probably not going to change, right? But if you want clarification on something, again, like I said, I'm happy to talk to you guys, right? Half my day is spent in consultations, talking with families about kind of like what I can possibly do for them, what I can't do for them, right? And you know what? Like, I feel bad every time I have to say no to someone, right? But there is kind of like there are certain areas where I can't really do much, right? But with families that I can, right? I'm going to try to do everything I can to make sure you save the most possible. Okay. All right, sounds good. So I don't see any additional questions. So we'll kind of close down for the night. We kind of ended right around 6:30, right? But again, we are here every single week. If you do have questions, reach out via email, Facebook Messenger, like comment on something in our Facebook, or send us a message in our Discord. Okay. Make sure that you're reaching out and you're getting the answers that you need. Okay. So until next week, everyone stay kind of like cool. Well, at least in my area, we're having a heat wave, right? Until next weekend or this coming weekend. So stay cool. And then if you guys do have any kind of questions or concerns or topics you want me to talk about, please let me know as well. Okay. So that is all for today. And hopefully next week we have some more information on the 2025-26 FAFSA. Okay. So make sure you click that link. Make sure that you took a screenshot of that QR code, and I will talk to you next week. All right. Everyone have a great night. Bye-bye.